win. Because we will hit all game. We are motivated. We are dedicated. Come on now. Come on now. We will win. Because we are the best on the field. And we hit the field like all day light, all night light, on the blue light, offense light, defense light, his squad light, house call light, and it sound light, and it sound light, and it sound light.
Looks right, throws it too high. Oh, it was called on the backhand. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He hauled it in. ECU with a miracle win in Lubbock today.
Goes for the end zone. The ball's in the air. It drops at the goal line. I think he caught it for a touchdown. He got it. He got it. He got it. Touchdown, Nick Matthews. The Cougars win it. The Cougars win it. He gets it. He's got room to the right. Tucks. Throws anyway. In the end zone it is. Caught. It's caught for a touchdown.
It's a good one. The set down. The kick is up. On the way. It is good.
He missed the kick. Do you believe this? With 1:11 to go, he missed the kick.
He is up, and the kick is no good. And the Cougars are going to win the football game. Donnell Barnes over on the far side. He's going to keep it himself. Cut back inside. Slams for the touchdown. And the
forever. I'ma do this here forever.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Short Sports Show. I am your host, Daniel Short. Today is beautiful. Not really. It's kind of foggy out here. Friday, December 11th, 2015. I'm glad you guys can join us here again. Follow me on Twitter at short_sports 24/7. All links are down below in the description. And this is a little bit of a slower show. No, actually, we have a good amount of news to talk about, things to kind of preview and recap as you know we go towards the end of the regular season. Again, it's Saturday tomorrow. We still have one more game, and that being the Army-Navy game, which Navy is favored 21.5 points. So I don't know how competitive it's going to be, but usually it's a pretty good game. So we got something to look forward to on Saturday, that being the only FBS game. We also have FCS playoffs, so I mean there's something, but it's all right. We got plenty of news to talk about, get us through the weekend, because there's a lot of changes happening in major power programs. So we're going to be talking about that, as well as some NFL news. We'll preview some of the games, recap last night's game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Arizona Cardinals. Pretty solid game. So we'll talk about that. But before we get started, again, follow me on Twitter at short_sports 24/7. Become a fan on Facebook, The Short Sports Show. And again, use the hashtag The Short Sports Show. You can chat with me here on Spreaker.com, or if you're listening on iHeartRadio or iTunes, YouTube, wherever you're listening, it's all right. Just tweet me, put a comment, and share it out with your friends and family. So let us get on, as we always do, with college football news first, and that is Tulsa. Their co-offensive coordinator, Sterling Gilbert, will be the new offensive coordinator at Texas. Maybe. It's been a crazy amount of things going on with Texas. Obviously, they offered a 3-year, $1.2 million guaranteed contract to TCU offensive coordinator Sonny Cumbie, and he said no. He talked it over with his family after 2 interviews, one in Fort Worth and one in Austin, and said, no, thank you. I'm going to stay with the Horned Frogs. So Texas moved on, and they talked to Tulsa co-offensive coordinator Sterling Gilbert. And after reports saying it was guaranteed that it was going to happen, that he was now going to be the offensive coordinator at Texas, then everybody started slowing the brakes and said, whoa. That is not happening. So I tried to look around. I still do not know if this is actually going to happen, but we're going to play along just because this show somewhat being live, but you know how the show goes. After the show's over, then it's going to be announced or it's going to be denied. It's just how it happens. So we're going to take both angles here. He's not going to be the Texas offensive coordinator. There's one cut. He is going to be the Texas offensive coordinator. Now, if he is, here's something to look forward to. Gilbert served as the co-offensive coordinator for Tulsa under Montgomery, Philip Montgomery, who worked with Art Briles' staff in Houston back in 2005. But this year, the Golden Hurricane offense averaged 502 yards per game this season and ranked 5th in passing offense and 6th in total offense among the group of 5 programs. Now, that's not all of them. That's the non-Power 5. But still, 502 yards per game, not bad. Not bad at all. Again, one thing to clear out, though, he did not call any plays for Tulsa. He was just coaching as for the quarterbacks and receivers. Cumbie somewhat calls plays. He calls certain plays, but not a full-time play caller, so he's also clearing that out. But still, I mean, he was a graduate assistant again with Art Briles back in Houston in 2005. So he knows how the system is, and, it's going to help out Texas. I mean, can they really get any worse offensively? Because it was pretty bad this past few years. And this might save Charlie Strong. But one thing I did look at, and it was kind of relating back to, even though TCU's offense wasn't this bad, but before Sonny Cumbie and Doug Meacham went to TCU, it wasn't all great. I mean, there were some bad years offensively. Obviously, when you think of TCU, at least back 2 years ago, you always knew TCU defense. Having the number 1 defense twice in 5 years from, I believe, like 2008 to whatever, 2012, 13. And then we get into the Big 12, and we're averaging 20-something points per game. That could work in the Mountain West. But now going into Big 12, we're playing teams like Baylor and Oklahoma State. It wasn't working out. So in the third year, TCU hired Sonny Cumbie, Doug Meacham. Now you're looking at Charlie Strong. Obviously, it's been really bad woes the past 2 years, but in his third year now hires an offensive coordinator that is somewhat proven himself to be, at least knows of this offense and can get it running. Maybe that gets Texas back up there running the play. I don't know. I'm trying to build some positivity for them, but it is really bad when you do not have a quarterback. Thankfully, they do have some running backs, Chris Warren being the main guy who can lead this offense to help them build some momentum and hope for some recruits. Moving on, Ohio State defensive tackle Adolphus Washington was cited for solicitation on Wednesday, putting his availability for the last game of his college career in question now. So, I don't know. I have a feeling he's going to get away with it. A school spokesman confirmed that the senior was charged late Wednesday night by Columbus police with a first-degree misdemeanor and is scheduled for an appearance in court on December 17th. The spokesman said Thursday, quote, "Disciplinary action will be handled internally." Ohio State head coach Urban Meyer's currently on a recruiting visit, so he is out, but will address Washington's punishment when he returns to campus. Again, Buckeyes are scheduled to practice on Friday in preparation for the Battle Frog Fiesta Bowl against Notre Dame. There are a lot of weird names for bowl games, but Battle Frog, who are they? What happened to Tostitos? I mean, I like that. I thought that was fitting for the Fiesta Bowl. Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. It is now called the Battle Frog Fiesta Bowl. That has to be the ugliest name next to the Popeyes bowl game, whatever. Wow. But anyways, yeah, it'd be a huge loss for Ohio State if they do not have him against Notre Dame. But I have a feeling it's just going to be that he'll still play. I mean, Ohio State really needs this guy to plug up the middle. Washington is a possibly first round, second round draft pick. Depending on how things go. But do you really see Ohio State suspending him his last game as he is a senior and a big game against Notre Dame with Notre Dame's offense? Do you really see him suspended? I don't think so. We'll have to see coming up here pretty soon. Like I said, quarterbacks transferring. Big news came yesterday with the Oklahoma Sooners quarterback Trevor Knight has been granted a full release by head coach Bob Stoops in order to seek a transfer. The Sooners will not block Knight from transferring to any FBS school, including those in the Big 12, meaning he would be eligible to play in 2016. Knight is scheduled to graduate this semester. So, anyways, he could start and play next season no matter what without having to sit out, as he's going to be a graduate senior. But to be in the Big 12, he doesn't have to sit out. And this is kind of weird, granted, because he's looking at possibly transferring to Kansas State. I mean, you got to think, what if Baker Mayfield and Kansas State, I don't know what their schedule is for when they play each other, but what if you look at it and it's no matter where it is, actually, and if Oklahoma comes in here, whether they win the playoffs or not, and they have a big season, they're undefeated, they meet Kansas State, and they lose, then what happens? You know, and you lose, especially if you lost to Trevor Knight. It's not going to be looked too good on Bob Stoops for that happening. But Kansas State's not the only one. Oregon, Georgia, and SMU are all schools Trevor Knight has talked to and is looking at and possibly transferring to. Now, if we all remember back in 2013 in the Sugar Bowls when Trevor Knight came out and it looked like he was the next big deal as he had a huge game over Alabama, and then he was beaten out by Baker Mayfield this preseason, as we all know. And even the time that Knight did share on the field, it was not good at all. Very low completion percentage. Just have to see, but it'd be interesting to see where he heads out to, where he transfers. But good thing by Bob Stoops, say, hey, that's fine. Transfer wherever you want to go. Probably telling him, hey, don't go to the Big 12, but we're not going to block you. You know, just let's be smart here. But he could definitely start at Kansas State. It'd be great for Bill Snyder to finally have a quarterback, as you know, when he had somewhat with Jake Waters and also with Colin Klein. Now, Oregon, I don't know. I don't know if that would really fit Knight. Now, Knight, he can run. He's more of a running quarterback, but to make those deep throws, can he do that consistently that Oregon needs? I don't know. Georgia would be intriguing to see him, and SMU, I think that'd just be a down spot for Trevor Knight to really go to, but he's keeping his options open, obviously. Texas A&M starting quarterback Kyle Allen is transferring out of the program. The school announced Thursday. Allen, who started 14 games in his Texas A&M career, has been granted his release from the school. In a tweet Thursday, Allen gave no reason for his departure, but thanked the university. He didn't say it. Mainly it's because Kyle Allen. He knows that they weren't going to go away from him. Kyle Allen Kyler Murray, was all right. I don't think he was that much better, but having that pressure on Kyle Allen, knowing that, hey, you make one mistake, we got another quarterback who was undefeated his entire 4 years starting at Allen, Texas. We got him ready to go if you're not. And having that pressure, that's not good to have that on you the whole season. So we all pretty much know that is why he is transferring out of Texas A&M. But it's not too bad for him. He was rated the number 1 ranked pocket passer in the 2014 ESPN 300 with the nation's number 35 overall recruit. He started the last 5 games of the 2014 season, replacing then starter Kenny Hill, which they had similar stories this season. Kyle Allen and Texas A&M, they started off 5-0. Kenny Hill, 5-0 in 2014. Had a bad game against Alabama both years, and then were both replaced by the other quarterback. Now, Allen is from Scottsdale, Arizona. There is talk that maybe he goes back home to play for Arizona or Arizona State. Don't really know, but he was 9-5 as a Texas A&M quarterback. This season, he completed 56.5% of his passes for 2,210 yards, 17 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. It's going to be interesting. There really hasn't been too much talk of where he plans on transferring. What we do know is he does obviously want to go to a Power 5 school. He can transfer anywhere, but it cannot be an SEC school or a future Aggies opponent. And he will have to sit out next season. So there's been a little bit of rumors that possibly he goes to Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield going to be a senior next year. Boom. He's gone. While Kyle Allen sits out, then Kyle Allen takes reign. It's going to be interesting to see. Alabama running back Derrick Henry was the big winner at the Home Depot 25th Anniversary College Football Awards last night, winning the Maxwell Award and the Doak Walker Award. So you only know what that means, right? He has to win the Heisman. They're setting him up to win the Heisman. A lot of these awards I now do not care about. I heard from other podcasts and other stories why people were saying they didn't like them or didn't care for them, and I was like, how could they not? It's fun to see the award ceremony. It's great that these players get individual awards for what they've done. Obviously, it's a team sport, but to see them be recognized, bring it to their school and whatnot, it's great. And so I was on that side, and then I watch this and I see who gets what, and you think, oh, wait a minute, that's not really right. Was he really the best player at that position? How did he do all year? All these other things. I don't know. I'm kind of just like, who are really the voters in this? Henry won the Maxwell Award over Christian McCaffrey and over Deshaun Watson, which is given to the college football's Player of the Year, which is similar to the Heisman, but somehow it's different. And it's the same trio for this year's Heisman Trophy. I feel like there are other candidates out there other than just these three guys that made a bigger impact on their team. I don't know. Deshaun Watson, the quarterback for Clemson, took home the Davey O'Brien Award as the nation's best quarterback, which was won over TCU's quarterback Trevon Boykin and Oklahoma's quarterback Baker Mayfield. There becomes my problem. Obviously, TCU fan, I try to not be biased on this, but if you look at Boykin's, and I'm going to talk about Mayfield too, so people don't think I'm just on Boykin. You look at Boykin's stats, he played 10 games, still had more total yards, better completion, or not better complete, better passing, more passing yards, more passing touchdowns than Deshaun Watson. In just 10 games. Deshaun Watson played 13 games. Boykin played 10 because of injury. Still had more yards. I'm just saying. Baker Mayfield obviously made a huge impact. And both TCU and Oklahoma played somewhat better defenses and were more battle-tested. Then I would say Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson, especially. And to win this award, too, this is for the quarterback award. Winning is obviously a huge thing. Watson went undefeated. Boykin lost the game as a starter, and Mayfield also lost a game as a starter. You look at the schedules, the defensive ranks. I'm willing to go with Boykin or Mayfield as a better quarterback over Deshaun Watson, but that's just me. Clemson also picked up a second award with Dabo Swinney winning the Home Depot Coach of the Year award, which I agree with, 13-0, and being able to recruit at Clemson and did what he did. I agree with that. But some of these awards, I don't know. And then with Derrick Henry winning both the Maxwell and the Doak Walker award, which I believe he should have won the Doak Walker. But the Maxwell overall, I don't really know. McCaffrey, I'm a huge fan of him, but he really didn't come out strong until later part of the season. I feel like you have to look at the whole body of work the entire year. And Henry obviously did that. No hate on him or Watson. They're both amazing players, but that's my thing. And another thing, real quick, just throwing it out there. This is why I no longer watch First Take anymore. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet by Skip Bayless. And I didn't know if they went on with it with the show. I'm assuming they did. I'm pretty sure they did. He was talking about, what they're going to talk about on First Take, on Twitter and stuff. And he said, this was one of the topics, is the white running back stereotype promoting or hurting Christian McCaffrey? I never understood why First Take always has to turn something into a race. Why it's a certain race, I don't understand. They do it with all different races, and it's only First Take. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that, how they can switch an event or a topic and instantly make it about race. I don't think any of the Heisman voters are worried about what race Christian McCaffrey is. I think they're worried about how did he play all year long, given that he was at Stanford and majority of his games were at 9 or 10 o'clock, even 11 o'clock Eastern time, where some of the voters maybe didn't watch. How is that hurting him? What did he do against better defenses? all this other stuff. I don't think they're worried about, okay, he's white. Should he really win the Heisman because he's a white running back? We don't have a white running back. I highly doubt that's what they're looking at. But, of course, First Take has to throw in, well, maybe because he's white, maybe that's what's helping him get into the Heisman vote, or maybe because this. I don't understand. I really don't. I love to hear other people's reaction to that as well, on why First Take always has to do something with racism or adding race into a specific sports topic when it really has no meaning whatsoever. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Moving on, though, Pittsburgh Panthers coach Pat Narduzzi has received a 2-year contract extension through the 2021 season. The school announced yesterday. Financial terms were not disclosed, but I guarantee you right after this show, within like 10 or 15 minutes, it's going to be announced. So just stay tuned on my Twitter at @short_sports 24/7. Bam, pulled that one off. Pittsburgh went 8-4 in Narduzzi's first season and will face Navy at the Military Bowl on December 28th. Now, Narduzzi was a former defensive coordinator under Mark D'Antonio at Michigan State, and Narduzzi led the Panthers to their most regular season wins since 2009 in just his first year with 8 wins. Not bad at all. And a really good pickup. I think we all knew it was going to be a great pickup for Pitt to get Narduzzi and to see what he can do and bring back Pittsburgh. And I think he's defensively, they were pretty solid. And now it's just going to get better with his recruiting, gathering his team together within a few years of recruiting. It's going to be fun to watch with Pat Narduzzi at Pittsburgh. Sonny Dykes has agreed to a contract extension, or at least to a principle of it, and it will be announced, somewhat, again, probably after this show, with California through the 2019 season. The deal, which will average $2.825 million over the next 4 years, still requires approval from the UC Board of Regents before it can become official. Dykes had 2 years remaining on the deal he signed before the 2013 season that paid him a base salary of $2 million annually. This season, Cal went 7-5 and will play Air Force in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl on December 29th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. The Bears went 1-11 and 5-7 in Dykes' first 2 seasons at Berkeley. And it's gotten better. Obviously, it helps when you have Jared Goff. But, I think it's a solid pay. I mean, he was talked about being a coach somewhere else, possibly Georgia and a few other places. But now they're trying to lock him up to stay for another through 2019, which is good for them. The Big 12 finally did something right. The Big 12 finally actually did something right. And it's with this. They announced Tuesday that it will require its members to schedule at least one game from another Power 5 conference or Notre Dame every year. And that list also includes BYU and Army to fill that slot. The Big 12 also mandated that its members play no more than one game annually against an FCS opponent going forward. The new rule won't impact future games already scheduled, but if a Big 12 school has an opening on a future schedule, then that slate doesn't already include a Power 5 opponent, then it must add a Power 5 team. And the funniest part about this, it really just affects Baylor. That's really it. Baylor played SMU, Lamar, and Rice this season. The Bears have a home-and-home schedule with Duke for 2017 and 2018, but no other Power 5 opponent until 2023 and 2024 against Utah. Since the Baylor schedule is filled through the next 3 years already with teams like SMU, like Lamar, like Rice, and a few other FCS schools like Incarnate Word and things like that, the earliest the Big 12 mandate will affect the Bears will be in 2019. So they have another 3 years to be, quote, bunny ears. I know you guys can't see me, but I'm throwing the bunny ears right now. Good unbunny ears for the next 3 years as they're going to continue to play teams like SMU, teams like Lamar, teams like Rice, because their schedule's already full. And I guarantee you they're not going to try to change it because they know they would have to add a Power 5 opponent. Kansas is also another team. Kansas and Baylor are the only Big 12 schools without a Power 5 non-conference opponent for the schedule of 2016. Wow. So there you go. The Big 12 joins the Big 10, ACC, and SEC, which already require that its members schedule a Power 5 non-conference opponent every season. Last bit of news of college football, Clemson defensive end Shaq Lawson has decided to forego his senior season and enter the NFL draft. A school spokesman confirmed Tuesday. Lawson, who is a junior, leads the nation with 22.5 tackles for loss and 9.5 sacks on a defense that ranks 7th in the nation. ESPN draft quote expert Mel Kiper lists Lawson as the number 4 defensive end available in the 2016 draft. And also Michigan tight end Jake Butt plans to return to campus for his final season of eligibility in 2016. He announced on Twitter Tuesday afternoon. Butt was the Wolverines' second leading receiver this season with 48 catches, 620 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So good for Michigan and Jim Harbaugh to keep Jake Butt, who has been a reliable wide receiver target for them. And again, Saturday, our only FBS football game at 2 p.m. Eastern time on CBS is Navy versus Army. Army is, quote, the home team in that game. Navy has some amazing helmets, though. The Battleship helmets are probably the best they've had. I don't know. I kind of like the helmet that they had where it was like half of it was white, then they had a gold stripe that went around it, and then dark blue at the bottom. I like that helmet, but this one is so unique. It probably takes number 1. I think it would take number 1 spot, but I don't know. It's nice. But that is the only game, and Navy is a 21.5-point favorite, and rightfully so. And honestly, you really should watch this. Whether you've watched this game in the past before or not, you get to see Keenan Reynolds' last game as a football player, at least for the next, 4 or 5 years until maybe he comes back. Maybe the NFL gives him a shot. I doubt it. Maybe he could play a receiver or something. But Keenan Reynolds, one of the funnest quarterbacks to watch in the triple option offense in college football history. Obviously holds the touchdown record for most touchdowns scored in a career, which is awesome for him. And it's going to be fun to watch him in his last game. I'm sure he's going to try to go out as much as he can in that game for Navy. And obviously my pick is Navy with that, as Army's had a pretty bad year. Moving over to the NFL, we're going to talk not a whole lot, just some quick injury news. DeMarco Murray, and then Johnny Football. Johnny Football got an interesting thing, a little discussion I also put on YouTube that I want to hear from you guys about it. So first, let's go on with the Eagles and DeMarco Murray. An in-flight conversation between Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie and DeMarco Murray after the running back's light workload in the team's victories Sunday had led to speculation that Murray is unhappy with his role in Philadelphia. But he said things were just overblown. Quote, "When I signed on the dotted line, I knew I was going to be here for a long time. I'm committed to winning a lot of games here. We're tied for first place in our division. We've got a chance to do some special things here. It's not the first time that I sat next to Jeffrey. It's not the first time I've spoken to him. I was sitting right next to him. I can't speak to my boss." End quote. That's what DeMarco Murray had to say after ESPN's Ed Warder reported Monday that Murray was upset by his lack of carries in Sunday's 35-28 win over the New England Patriots. Eagles head coach Chip Kelly also said that Murray was frustrated. Murray was only on the field for 14 of the Eagles' 61 offensive plays. The way the season had started out from and kind of how it has been this season, I'd be a little upset too, especially in a big game against the Patriots, because you never know if they could have came back. I mean, the final score was 35-28, and they scored a late touchdown. You never know what could have happened. You saw the crazy, if the Eagles blocked a punt, returned it for a touchdown, and then had a punt return for a touchdown against the Patriots, what makes you say that the Patriots couldn't do the same possibly and get right back into this game or take the lead? And if Murray was only on the field 14 out of the 61 offensive plays, carried the ball 8 times for 24 yards, wouldn't you be a little upset too? Especially in this big of a game. So he had a right to be upset. And in his 10 prior games this season, Murray's averaged 53.8% of the Eagles' offensive plays. Let's see. Murray said, quote, "I wouldn't say I was disappointed. We won the game, so I'm happy with that. Every player wants an opportunity to contribute to the team, especially me as a competitor, end quote. Great way to play it off, but based on the season, beginning of the year, saying he was angry about not getting the ball enough, and then in a big game where you don't, you're gonna tell me now that you're not that you're okay, that you're not angry? Yeah, you're happy you won, but what if the situation was around? What if you did lose? It's a different side of Murray right there. We'll have to see. The Eagles do host the Buffalo Bills on their against their 14th ranked rushing defense in Philadelphia this Sunday, which will be an interesting matchup with Tyrod Taylor having a pretty good game last week. LaShawn McCoy visiting back in Philadelphia, doesn't want to shake Chip Kelly's hand. Chip Kelly keeps saying, no matter what, at any point, I will shake your hand if you come around. Chip Kelly versus LaShawn McCoy, these two interviews are probably some of the best that we've had this season. I feel like Chip Kelly's just feeling so awkward right now. It's kind of funny to watch. New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski returned to practice Thursday for the first time since sustaining a bone bruise and a sprain in his right knee November 29th against the Denver Broncos. Gronkowski, who was a limited participant in practice Thursday, wore a protective sleeve/brace over his right knee, and the reporters watched him go through warm-ups before having to leave. At one point, Gronkowski jogged from one sideline to the other with his teammates looking pretty good. Again, Gronkowski missed Wednesday's full pads practice and was held out of all practices last week, as well as the game against the Eagles, which they lost, of course, that we just talked about. He injured his knee in the fourth quarter against Denver. But good thing is, it looks like he is going to play against the Denver, next game. And also Patrick Chung, he returned to practice, but Edelman is still out. So Tom Brady is hoping he can get at least one of his weapons back in Gronkowski. And it's good for the defense, who's lost a lot of players, to get Patrick Chung back to help get some veteran leadership into this team and not lose a game like they did against the Eagles. Houston Texans defensive end J.J. Watt has a cast on his left wrist and missed practice Thursday. He said that he broke his hand during Wednesday's practice, but will be on the field when the Texans host the Patriots. There you go, that's the team. On Sunday night at NRG Stadium. I had no idea that they changed names. I thought it was still called the Reliant Stadium. It's NRG Stadium. Whoa. Where have I been? It doesn't really matter. Watt is also dealing with a groin injury and did not practice 2 days last week with the groin injury, but played 100% of the Texans' defensive snaps against the Buffalo Bills. So we'll have to see. But Watt has never missed a game in the NFL. His 76 consecutive starts only trail Julius Peppers with 98 and Rob Ninkovich with 77 for active streaks among defensive ends. He already has 13.5 sacks. Last weekend against the Bills, that was the first time in 6 games he didn't have a sack, but 13.5 sacks already. Not bad for J.J. Watt. He's already the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. Might get it again. Watt has played the Patriots twice in the regular season, but he's never sacked Tom Brady. He had half a sack against Brady in the Texans playoff game back in 2012, but, didn't count. Got to get the full sack. Main thing I wanted to talk about, though, and all comes down to this. The big topic. It's always the hate or the love. There's no really in between for both this team and this player. I'm talking about Johnny Manziel and the Dallas Cowboys. Manziel returns to the field Sunday as the Browns starting quarterback, and it is fair to speculate that he's auditioning not just for the Cleveland job, but for possibly the Dallas Cowboys, obviously other teams in 2016. So, Cleveland Browns, as we all remember, they traded up. They got their man in Johnny Football in the 2014 NFL Draft. But there are other teams that were intrigued by Manziel, such as the Rams and the team called the Dallas Cowboys. One prominent team executive believes Manziel probably can't do enough on the field. Quote, under the reality that he's just not playing with a very good cast around him. He would almost have to be spectacular, and the Browns win games we don't expect them to win. And even then, to what extent has Manziel burned bridges there where no matter what he does, either the present regime or the next regime will still be looking for another guy, end quote. The Browns at this rate will be in position to take one of the projected top quarterbacks in the 2016 draft with the first overall pick as they hold right now. Whether it's Connor Cook at Michigan State, Jared Goff at Cal, Christian Hackenberg at Penn State, or Paxton Lynch at Memphis, ironically, the Cowboys also figure to be in the top 10 draft pick as well, and possibly looking for someone to groom as a successor to Tony Romo. Now, we all know Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, they don't like to spend a top 10 draft pick on a quarterback, especially when there are not a lot of players, skill players, that probably could help Dallas get to a better spot quicker than one of these quarterbacks. The same executive said the Browns can probably eventually entice Jones to offer a conditional fourth-round draft pick for Manziel, even with the knowledge that the former Texas A&M quarterback was the top-rated player on the Cowboys board in 2014. The Cowboys' failures this year with backup quarterbacks Brandon Weeden and Matt Castle have only helped the case for Manziel as a candidate to become Romo's backup and possible successor. So my question to you, whether you're listening to iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com, YouTube, is where will Johnny Football play next season? That is what I want to know. Me personally, of course, I hope he goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Sits for another year. I know that's not what he wants. Tony Romo hopefully has another year in him. Sit behind Tony Romo. Really get ready. And then possibly in 2017, be the guy. Sit back. But the thing that scares me is obviously he still has an alcohol problem. You don't get over it in just two or 3 weeks. It doesn't just disappear in 2 or 3 weeks. So there's still that. Coming back to Texas, which he obviously has enough money to go back to Texas anyways whenever he wants from Cleveland. But going back to Texas, is that going to either bring him back home in a positive way, saying, hey, this is my home state. This is the big team. I'm here to play for it. There's a lot on the line with my name on it and wearing the star on the helmet. Is it that, or is it I'm back home, I can party, I can see all my friends, I'm going to be in areas that I know, all this other stuff? Is it which Manziel we're going to get? And that's obviously what the Cowboys are going to look at and see what they can do. It's not like a draft where they can interview him multiple times. They can work him out. He's got 4 games left and an offseason to see who Manziel really is and what he can do with other competition. It's going to be interesting for the Cleveland Browns and Johnny Manziel. Again, my question to you is, where will Johnny Football play next season? Tweet me at @short_sports247. Use the hashtag #TheShortSportsShow and let me know. Now, last night we had an incredible game with the Minnesota Vikings and the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this looked like at the beginning a possible playoff game, depending on where these two teams finished out and which round. But now it's looking more like maybe the Vikings are pretenders after all. They're 1-5 against teams that are 500 or above. And they're 7-1 to teams that are below 500. So who are the Minnesota Vikings? You know, last week they get blown out by Seattle. Seattle looks like they found their groove, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop anytime soon once they hit the playoffs. The Cardinals, obviously one of the best teams in the NFL right now, defensively and offensively, and the Vikings put up a good fight throughout the game. Final score 23-20. Cardinals improve 11-2. Vikings drop to 8-5. Vikings now need the Packers to lose to the Cowboys to hope for possibly the best thing for the Vikings. And wild card situation is not really going to do the Vikings much help. It might actually knock them out in the playoffs. If they host the game, one, you're in your own environment that really cold come January, in Minnesota, and you're playing probably a weaker team. You go over there, you play another team on the road, it's going to be a lot different. We'll have to see. An interesting stat, though, from last night that I meant to have up here. Here we go. Now, at the end of the game, Teddy Bridgewater gets sacked, the ball gets stripped, 13 seconds left, Cardinals win. The sack was by, guess who? Dwight Freeney. Dwight Freeney is actually back. He's playing football, and the stupid San Diego Chargers let him go. When I said at the beginning of the season, if you go back, I don't know what episode it was, but if you go back to the beginning of the season, just read the descriptions, I said the Chargers should keep Dwight Freeney another year, mainly because just to teach these younger guys that we have, and plus we suck at defense. Guess what? I was right at least about that. And Dwight Freeney is still showing that he's got it. Because of this, and because of that sack, one, that clinched the playoff berth for Arizona. Arizona can now win the NFC West if the Seahawks lose on Sunday. That sack by Dwight Freeney was his 4th of the season. Granted, he's like in his late 30s, probably almost up to the 40s. That just earned him a $200,000 incentive bonus right there. He reached his bonus. He gets $200,000 for his 4th sack. Chargers, we could have had him. Not saying he would have changed the whole defense, but at least it'd be something a little bit better than what you put on the field, Chargers. I'm sorry. I still hope the Chargers lose every game this year. Get the top pick or something. Browns, I need y'all to win. And with the Browns, starting at 12 p.m. Central Time on Fox, Cleveland is a 1-point favorite over the 49ers. I feel like that's really disrespectful to the San Francisco 49ers. They have a huge win in overtime against the Chicago Bears. Now, granted, they probably shouldn't have won that game. Robbie Gould misses a 30-something yard field goal, 33, 36-yard field goal, shanks it left really bad, and that would have gave the victory to the Chicago Bears. So maybe the 49ers end up, 3-9 right now. They don't. It goes overtime, pick 6, 49ers win, now 4-8. And Blaine Gabbert, there's even a thing now, Gab on him. Not dab, Gab for Blaine Gabbert. It's kind of funny. They're probably a more complete team than the Browns are right now, which doesn't say a whole lot. But to be still not favored, I know it was like 2.5 points a couple days ago. Now it's 1 point to Cleveland. Not being favored to Cleveland, wow. We'll have to see. It's going to be an interesting game. Of course, we just talked about Johnny Manziel. Now him starting the last 4 games of the season. Can Blaine Gabbert have Gabbert magic? I don't know. Is he going to gab on him? We'll see. It's going to be probably the least watched game throughout the 1 o'clock games because there's like every game is at 1 o'clock except for obviously two afternoon games, the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. That's just it's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people, other than the people in California, Northern California, and Ohio are going to watch that game. But anyways, I'm going to go with the 49ers. Even though I'm a huge fan of Johnny Manziel, I just think 49ers are getting some kind of thing going for them. And I think, honestly, the Browns are just kind of like, I don't care anymore. The Bills at the Eagles. This is LaShawn McCoy's reunion. I think the fans are still going to cheer for LaShawn McCoy, and other than when he makes plays against them. I think in the beginning of the game they might cheer for him to say, hey, we still love you. We understand it wasn't you didn't want to leave us. It was Chip Kelly and the front office management that wanted you to leave. So we still love you. But I don't know. They're Philadelphia fans. They might not just care anymore. Bills 6-6. Huge game by Tyrod Taylor last week. 4 total touchdowns. Eagles 5-7. The line is even in Philadelphia. 12 o'clock again Central Time on CBS. I'm going to take the Bills here. I think they got things rolling. And Bills improved to 7-6 with the dub. Lions at the Rams. Probably another game no one's really going to watch. Lions, what is up with them? I really like Jeff Fisher, but I think, honestly, he has to leave. He's got to go. Case Keenum should start for the Rams this week. Lions have the offense. They just can't close out any games. I'm going to take the Lions here on the road. They're a 2.5-point favorite. This game's on Fox. I'm taking the Lions. Saints at the Buccaneers. I was really pushing for the Buccaneers the past 2 weeks, and they let me down 1 week. Doug Martin trying to get things going again. He has 1,100 rushing yards. Doug Martin, the muscle hamster, is officially back, but he only has 4 rushing touchdowns. The Saints defense looked improved in the first half against the Carolina Panthers, but then the old defense came back. They got worn out and tired, gave up 41 points to the Panthers. Don't think they'll give up 40 points here to the Buccaneers, but probably a 35-28 game or so. Going to go with the Buccaneers here to get the W at home. They are also a 4-point favorite, I should say. Titans at the Jets. Jets are a 7.5-point favorite over the Titans. Titans finally get their first home win last week in a crazy game against Jacksonville. Marcus Mariota having a huge game. I really want the Titans to win this, but it's probably best if they just kind of lose the rest of the games, get a higher draft pick, help Marcus Mariota build an offensive line or get some help at defense. Just any players that want to try out defensively for Tennessee are more than welcome. I'm going to take the Jets for the pick, but I hope the Titans, I kind of want them to win, but I still want them to get a high draft pick, so oh well. Steelers at the Bengals, a pretty good game. Bengals are a 2.5-point favorite. Can the Bengals finally beat a good team? That is a question here. Bengals, if they win, they hold on to that first seed in the AFC, which is huge for the Bengals. They know they really need it. This game is at home. They have to beat the Steelers. Again, 2.5-point favorite to the Bengals. I'm going to take the Bengals here. A close game, a field goal game. I'm going to go 2017, somewhere around that. Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's not even a line for this apparently, or maybe it just didn't load for me. I don't see any line or over-under. No idea why. Probably they're waiting on maybe Andrew Luck starting or not. Matt Hasselbeck seeing his injury. I'm going to take the Jaguars here. Whether it's Luck, whether it's Hasselbeck, whether it's Charlie Whitehurst, I'm taking, which they call him Clipboard Jesus. I find that hilarious. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got the offense rolling with Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns, Allen, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Any Allens out there, they're going to score touchdowns with Blake Bortles. Bortles having a silent but great year. 3,200 passing yards, almost 3,300 passing yards, 27 touchdowns. I think, almost 500 or 50% passing, a little over 50%. Not bad for him. I like the Jaguars here to beat the Colts. I know it's an upset, but I'm taking them. Chargers at the Chiefs. Well, the Chiefs are 11.5-point favorite. That's all you need to know, other than also the Chiefs did beat the Chargers in San Diego a couple weeks back, 33-3. All right, and the Chiefs are apparently the hottest team in football right now. It's in Kansas City, 60 degrees, possibly rainy. 12 p.m. Central Time on CBS. I am taking the Kansas City Chiefs here, and I hope the Chiefs win. Best of luck, Chiefs. Please beat us. Chargers, they need the best option, and it's to lose every single game. Washington taking on the Chicago Bears. Chicago 3.5-point favorite. Now there's some sad news coming in for Jay Cutler, as it looks like police have found Jay Cutler's brother-in-law. Apparently he crashed his car in Utah somewhere, upwhere in the mountains, and was ejected out the car or something like that. I know they said that the car was running, airbags were deployed, but he was on like a little bit past the car, but not a little bit. It was kind of far away from the car, and cell phone and everything was in the car still, and obviously he died. So sad news. See how it affects Jay Cutler or not, but this game is 60 degrees and possibly rainy in Chicago. Washington, I would have gone with them, even with the loss to Dallas, but it was such a bad loss, though. I mean, they really couldn't generate any offense whatsoever, which I really thought they were going to have no problem with. So I'm going to take Chicago here. Very close game. Very, very close game, though. Taking Chicago. Atlanta taking on the Carolina Panthers. Do we really have to talk about this? Do we? I'm pretty sure Falcons are just going to drop. There's a funny picture. You know, they have those pictures where it's like split in four, and it shows like a Falcons fan when they're 5-0 or whatever near a tree, and they're all, you know, happy having a Falcon gear on. Next picture shows them like 5-1, kind of backs away, but he's still like, eh. Then it shows their record. They're like, I don't know, like 5-5 or something, and he's in the bush, and then they come out. The last picture, it's like 12-0 Carolina Panthers. It just changed bandwagon. it's better if you just look at the picture than me explain. I won't explain again. This game is on Fox, 12 p.m. Central Time in Charlotte. Supposed to be raining as well, but 72 degrees. Obviously, I'm taking Carolina here with a big win and improve to 13-0. How crazy is that? 13-0. The Seattle Seahawks, who are on a roll right now offensively, and Russell Wilson actually looks like an NFL quarterback by throwing the ball, not just kind of moving around and putting points, more than 20, 24 points a game. Huge game last week, beating the Minnesota Vikings on the road, 38-7. A defense looked alive out there. I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks. They are a 10.5-point favorite against Baltimore. The Raiders, who have just played very sloppy last week against Kansas City. Should have won that game, but 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter by Derek Carr ultimately cost them a game, including the pick 6. Denver's defense a ton better than Kansas City. Brock Osweiler doing his thing. Think the Broncos get the W here. They improve to 11-2 with the W, and the spread is 8.5 to Denver. Here's the big question I have: why they didn't flex this? So the rematch, Cowboys and the Packers. We all remember what happened last year in the playoffs. The Dez Bryant catch or no catch. How was this game not even thought of being a Sunday night game? Now, I know that Tony Romo is out, whatever, but still, this is what we have. We have either the Cowboys and the Packers game, which, again, remember that we all know Cowboys are a game away from the NFC East top seed for that. They're a game away from that. But for Sunday night, we have the Patriots and the Texans. Very boring matchup. I really do not care. I would much rather see Cowboys-Packers Sunday Night Football in Lambeau Field. I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that. I don't know why this wasn't flex. But anyways, we have to deal with it. At 3:25 Central Time on Fox, we have the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay 7-point favorite. Supposed to be cold and rainy. 56 degrees and rainy. In Lambeau Field. Going to take the Packers here. I think it's probably going to be a big win. Obviously, Packers have a much better offense than Washington does. And I just don't know if I believe Matt Castle yet. I know he got his first victory. He's like 1-7 or 1-4 as a starter now, whatever. Yeah, not going to go with it. Sunday night, Patriots, Texans, going with the Patriots here. It's going to be rainy, but it's in a dome, so it doesn't matter. Going with the Patriots here. And then Monday night, not really. I don't know what's up with Monday Night Football. They're just picking the worst games possible. The ESPN guys are like, whoa, what game sucks? Oh, this one does. Let's add that one in there. Giants and the no offense Dolphins. Ooh, did I just create something? No offense Dolphins? What? I like that. I'll tweet it right after the show. You heard it here first on the Short Sports Show. Woo, I love it. Yeah, both the Giants and the Dolphins are 5-7. Fun game. The line is even because they're like, we really don't care about this game. I'm going to take the Giants. I mean, they got a much better offense, kind of. Yeah, they do. Defensively, they got players. Miami doesn't. So I'm going to take the Giants here with the W here to keep their NFC East hopes alive. Some other news that just came in, but I think it wasn't really big shock, and I think we knew this before the year. The number 7 overall pick in last year's draft with the Chicago Bears, Kevin White, had surgery to repair his stress fracture in his left leg in August, and there's hope he could return in the final 4 weeks. He is out. He will not come back. They said just to sit out his rookie year, which is probably safer, and since Bears have nothing to play for, makes sense. So that wraps up today's show, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys liked the new intro. Added some a little pizzazz into it with some from college football plays. Thought it'd be interesting. I'm trying to add a few other things, probably some like voiceovers, but I don't know. I tried to do a voiceover a few days ago, and it just went bad. That's all I'll say. I might make a little bloopers thing. I don't know if I kept it. I think I did keep it. If not, it's in like my recycling bin, but I don't think I've deleted it yet, so we'll see. I might make a bloopers of it. It was really bad. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, be sure to follow me on Twitter at @short_sports247. All the links are down below in the description, no matter where you're listening, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker.com, YouTube, wherever else we're at. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I will see you guys this Monday. Actually, I forgot to tell you, we have a guest on, I believe, Monday's show. I'm gonna talk to him here in just a bit. He is the creator, I don't know his title. Creator, writer, and possibly director of a new feature film called Workhorses. If you've not heard of it yet, it's many stories have been written on it by Fox Sports, ESPN, and other things. It's about college athletes and what they go through and why they should be paid in college and reasons. It's not a documentary. It's a feature film. There's a 6-minute trailer that explains everything about it and what you can get. It's on Kickstarter. You guys can go check it out. I'll have more of the link and the video of it here uploaded on YouTube pretty soon, so go check it out. But it's called Workhorses by Abram Booty. He used to be an LSU wide receiver. He's a football coach, but we will have him on the show either this Monday morning or Friday's show. So stay tuned for that. Very excited for that. Again, guys, thank you so much for listening. I will see you guys this Monday morning. As always, God first, God bless. I'm out. Peace.
Seasonal voodoo use. My records rang like Napoleon. The school aware from the principal to the student body to the custodian. Front page, I do mine. In due time, get that full ride and make the next level my new high. Any endeavor, show me the best and I'm better. So never say never. I'ma do this forever. Forever. I'ma do this here 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 forever.